So good morning. I'm excited to be here with you guys. What I would like to do is share a little bit of the last year of my life and what that's looked like, what that has looked like, and the journey that God has had me on. The way I think it'll apply to you is, as you guys know, throughout high school, your life has kind of been planned out. You kind of have an idea of what life looks like. You go to school every day, you get home, either you're involved in sports or you're not. But then you get to college and you get a little more freedom, a little more flexibility in your schedule. You got a little bit more decisions to make for yourself. And, it's a beautiful thing, but it's also scary because you're kind of responsible for the things that happen or don't happen. And so for me, as graduation kind of came about, it was an exciting time, but it was also a time where I was really anxious and wondering what in the world I'm about to do next. For me, my college experience was awesome. Honestly, I wouldn't go back and change anything. I loved every moment of it. All my best friends, I had the greatest mentor in my life, my uncle. He was there throughout college for me. So I just really had a great experience. And I had brothers in the Lord that challenged me daily, met weekly, pushed each other to be the best we could be in as many aspects of life as possible. I just couldn't ask for much more than that. And then, so we all pushed each other to stay focused. As all of you guys know, it's important to stay focused. If you're trying to get good grades, you understand how intentional you have to be about getting the grades you want. You got to be on top of it every day. You don't get to just take next week off and think you're going to be okay. And so for me, as I'm getting ready to transition, as I was transitioning from college to now what we call the real world, I guess we say, or as Coach Gardner likes to call it, the University of Life, I'm just trying to prepare myself and say, where am I headed? What direction am I going? So that once things start to happen, I kind of have an idea of where I'm going with things. Because I realize that, unfortunately, there's a lot of things in life we can't control. And so I wanted to at least have some sense of direction of what that might look like. And so, fortunately, I felt like, the 4 years of college, the brothers that I had, pushing each other, I felt like I had that sense of direction. But then it got really awkward because we all graduated. We're all from different parts of the country, and only one stayed behind. But I said, you know what? That's one of my best friends, so it would be great. Then he gets a job offer like a week later, and I'm like, this cannot happen. So now I'm stuck in Hillsborough, Kansas. I'm by myself, and it'll be just me. It's my first winter break where I'm just like, this is it. I'm wake up every day. It'll be just me. There is no, I'm going to catch up with you later this afternoon. And we all had work schedules, so there was no, we'll just talk later on today. We just all had opposite schedules. And so I also finished my last season of football at that time. And I had suffered the worst injury I've ever had. I had 2 tears in my wrist, my cartilage in my wrist. So that meant everything I was used to when, with life of just, I like to be healthy. I like to take care of myself. I like to work out. And, for me, I played football most of my life, so I was always used to falling back on it. If I'm bored or something, I could just do something that related to sports or something. That was gone because I knew I had 6 months where I could do no physical activity with my upper body, and that was just extremely disturbing. And so the only thing I could have was, well, at least I'll have a good diet. And then, so my friends are gone. I can't really do the things I'm used to doing. And then to make matters worse, I was in my first real relationship. That kind of ended as well. And so now I'm here in Hillsborough, Kansas. It's winter break. It's over. College is done with. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what am I going to do next? I know I have a job lined up. It was an internship. I know I had to get 480 hours knocked out. And so I'm thinking I'll just focus on that. And then I'm on my way out of here. And I'll at least, if I can just manage through and just stay focused, I'll be all right. And it's like at that moment, after all these little things just kind of happened, it's like I lost my sense of focus of the real direction, what was really important. I'm looking at the small little frame, the little lens I'm looking from and saying, I just got to hang in there for about 6 months and I'm good to go. Not realizing that mindset would have a lot of setbacks in place for me. For example, when I started work at the nursing home, I had the opportunity to kind of visit with a lot of people there. and just learn a lot about life and just where these people were at and what they did with their life. And so for me, I'm trying to fill these gaps, because these voids, I mean, I'm kind of lonely, to be honest. The people I connected with, they're not there. Then I find out, shortly after, my greatest mentor, he then had colon cancer. So I'm like, okay, things are shaking up a bit. I'm not going home to see family. It's going to be just me. I've got to focus. And so things are getting a little chaotic in life. And so what do I do? I just said, I've got to find something and just lock in. And for me, that became work. So while I'm at the nursing home, I just decide, you know what? Lock me in 7 days a week. However many hours I need to work, I'll do it. I'll stay on top of it, because I need to get the hours knocked out anyways. I need to work as well. And, I'm interning here at the college, working with some of the resident assistants. And so that was just a crazy time of life as I'm trying to figure these things out, because now I'm asking myself, what is life really about? Because, see, now I don't have the schedule of, a college life where there's all these set boundaries. I don't have my parents asking me questions about, well, what are you doing? Are you taking care of this and that? It's all on me now. And so now I'm wondering, what direction do I take? Where do I go? What focus or what lens am I supposed to be looking from? And, I'm trying to reflect and take time to reflect, but I'm still busy in all these other things and trying to just feel comfortable, at least, or feel like I'm moving in some direction, or having some sense of direction, and just wrestling with it all, and just like, oh my gosh, what am I really doing? Because everything I put my hope in is just not cutting it. Friends, they're just not there. The job, now I'm killing myself. I'm like, can I really do this? And how long can I sustain this kind of lifestyle? It was just kind of crumbling down for me. And I remember one night I'm sitting there and I'm just like, God, I'm tired. I'm really tired. But then I'm like, you know what, Brandon? Life isn't always going to be this fun and easy. So I told myself, if you can't physically go to sleep right now, we'll get up, get in the shower, and we'll go back to work. Because I just couldn't imagine wasting my life. That's how tough it had gotten for me. I felt like if I have to do something in life, I can't waste it. And, I felt like I just couldn't waste it doing nothing. But I knew God had always been there for me. He'd always shown up in my life. But it's almost as though I was trying to find something different. When we think of college, when you think of getting your education, the first thing that comes to your mind is, I expect to get some crazy job and do the thing I love for the rest of my life. Maybe I'll find my wife, or husband, and we're going to have a great family time, and it's going to work out. You just kind of have this dream and this vision for yourself. Well, I had a vision for myself as well. But when I started to see things weren't going in the direction I thought I expected it to go, I said, I'll create the plan. Now, obviously, I didn't say, God, I don't need your help. It was never anything like that. But I wasn't as focused on him, so that kind of changed my course of direction. And so I started leading the ship, and I started going the way I felt like it was necessary. And then kind of a few months go by, and I'm really sitting there one day. I just have a day off, and I'm just evaluating my life. Like, what am I doing? And I'm writing down in my journal, and I'm just like, Lord, I'm really struggling right now. I feel like I'm just living life on the edge, and I'm just over a rope, and it's like I'm just over an edge, over a cliff, and I can just simply reach out to you. But I almost like the idea that I'm doing this on my own. I'm kind of taking responsibility for things. But I also felt like I can't hold on to this much longer before I'm going to really just drop it all and I'm going to crumble. And so I'm connecting with my friends, and unfortunately for me, I was really blessed to have one of my friends, he was moving back down in Hillsborough. What a coincidence, of all places. And so we were roommates and, just kind of talking about things and pushing each other. And so having that sense of community kind of was important to me, and just being able to share where I'm really at in life. Like, this thing ain't easy, and so that was just a big blessing for me. And then as I'm going through, kind of working through some things like, okay, where should I be going? What's really important in life? Because if it's all about just, kind of being happy or just doing this or making money or doing that, is it really going to satisfy me in the long run? And it started making me ask the question that if I'm going to do something, it better really count. And I had to go back and reflect on my relationship with God. And I'm saying, where am I really at with you? You know, where's my faith at right now when things aren't going the way I would like them to? You know, all 4 years of college, I mean, for me, it was just nothing but growing opportunities. It's almost like I was in San Diego with my faith. It was just, it's always sunny, you know, any adversity that came, it was enough good things to overcome it. But now it doesn't seem like the sun's out anymore. And so I'm trying to say, you know, am I going to stay right here and trust you even when things don't seem to be going the way I'd like them to? Or am I going to just say, you know what, I'm going to do things my way? And at that moment, I felt like I needed to really just humble myself and say, God, whatever you want from me is yours. And that's a very difficult thing for, I think, all of us. But I know for me personally, I don't like trusting other people. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, if I fail, I'm almost okay with failing if I know it was because of me. But if things don't go right and I know it was because I trusted something else or someone else, that becomes very challenging for me and difficult to cope with because I can't do much about it. But I had to be reminded that, you know, I'm not talking about a friend who could fail me tomorrow. I'm talking about the God who created me, who loves me, who's given me more hope than I could ever imagine through the hope of his son in Jesus Christ. And it challenged me, and I had to reflect, and I said, what do I spend my time thinking about? You know, Psalm 19:14 says, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord. And I had to ask myself, what do I think about? You know, where am I going with life? How do I really assess this thing? You know, I think if you're in a class, you would never go the entire semester if you wanted 100% and everything. You would never go the entire semester without checking to see where you're at. You just wouldn't do that. It doesn't make sense. You know, if you're an athlete, you would never go an entire season without seeing which ways do I need to get improved. That's why we watch film. That's why you do those things. Because you're trying to see where am I at, where am I going, and how am I going to get to where I'm trying to go. And I had to start assessing my own life and saying, where am I allowing myself to go? Where do I allow my thoughts to run to? Where am I, you know, how am I being intentional with the day that I have? And, and it's rough. It's not easy. And it's challenging, and it takes a lot out of you, and it takes a lot of sacrifice. But the thing that I've been able to learn on this journey is that if it's worth the if it's important at all, and if it's worth the sacrifice, you'll make it. Because we make sacrifices every day. Because all of us, we have things that we enjoy, that we want to do, and we make sacrifices from every day. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's important to you, you'll make it happen. You always do. And I asked myself, if my relationship with God is important to me, what am I willing to sacrifice to make sure that I'm focused like I need to be, or that I'm living the life that he's called me to live? If he's really that important to me, what am I willing to sacrifice? And then I'm starting to see, okay, there's a lot of good things that I enjoy in life that aren't bad, but they become the ultimate thing. When I realize that, in the evening, something real simple, I say, 6 o'clock, I want to just stop everything, want to just focus, spend some time with the Lord. But then, one of your boys calls and say, hey, I just want to catch up for a minute. What's important? I'm not saying you can't make time for your friends, but, how important is Jesus to you? What are you willing to sacrifice? Some of you guys are engaged in relationships, and you realize there's sacrifices that have to be made. And you're willing to make those sacrifices because that's what you want. And you do some crazy things, to let them know that you really care. And I started asking myself, what am I willing to do absolutely off the wall to say, Jesus, I want you to know I'm there. I love you, and I'll give you anything you want. For me, I'm extremely competitive, and so I don't play sports anymore. But I love playing video games. NCAA, for all my fans out there, I'd beat you any day of the week. But, one day I decided I was going to buy the system. I said, you know what, I got the money, I'm buying the game system. I haven't played in a while, and I just want to play it. And for me, I love that kind of, I don't know what it is about those kind of games, but I love it so much that it becomes an addiction to me. There was one night I stayed up for almost 10 hours just playing that one game. And I asked myself, I'm like, are you okay? And, you know, I just had to be honest with myself. You know, I know some of you guys think I'm crazy, but you got your own problems. You know, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, this isn't okay. Because I'm asking myself, now, if it's not a bad thing to play a game, when does it become a bad thing? And I said, Lord, would I be willing to ever give you this amount of time in a day? Would I ever stop for 10 to 12 hours and say, you know what, whatever you want to do, whatever, you know, if I wanted to spend time with you, how would that look like? And I don't. And so for me, that interfered with the most important thing in my life. And so I said, it's not going to be good enough for me to just say, well, I'll cut it down to half an hour a week and things like that, because it still consumed my mind throughout the week. I'm like, man, I want to play that game. And so for me, I said, you know what? Even though I just bought the warranty, so just in case they gave me the wrong system that's going to break down in 1 month, I got a 6-month warranty, so I'm good to go. And I said, I'm turning it back in. So I go back to the store, and I'm handing it to the same guy I believe I purchased it from. And I just handed it back to him, and I said, well, I'd like my money back because I don't have time for video games anymore. And he tells me, I can't give you the money you pay for that warranty, and I can't give you the money you pay for that game. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, you know what? I could use it just for YouTube, you know. My PS3, I could use it for some YouTube, maybe just, you know, just browse the web with it. And I had to ask myself, what are you willing to sacrifice to be close to Jesus? And I said, is this game, does it even come to any comparison? And so I said, I'll take my loss to like $60, you know, I'll let it go. Because, you know, I said, Jesus, I think you're worth more than $60. You know, and that's just been, you know, some of the biggest blessings for me. And then the last thing that I want to share with you was when I lost my uncle this year, a few months back. You know, he was probably the most influential person in my life. I love that man to death. You know, I even called him on a Father's Day just to let him know. I said, you've been like a dad to me. I said, and I'm just thankful to have you in my life. And that's, you know, that's how influential he was to me. And when he was getting ready to pass, I told him, because he called me like 11 o'clock at night, and he said, Brandon, I want you to know I love you. This might be the last time we ever talk. And I said, don't die on me. I said, I will come right now, the first flight in the morning, I'll be there. I said, I just need you to see me. I said, I need you to know that I would make any sacrifice necessary so that you knew I cared about you, because I knew you'd do the same for me. And as I reflected upon that, and I saw him for those last moments, he couldn't say a word to me. All he could do was reach his hand out. And then he passed away a few hours later. And I thought to myself, and I'm just like, Lord, you know, this was the most important person to me in my life. You know, this guy was the one, he gave me direction, guidance. You know, he was always there for me, even when things didn't seem to go well in life. I always knew he was in my corner. And the thing that crossed my mind after that moment was that, yes, he was a great uncle to you. He was like a father to you, but I'm the true father. I'm the one with the true wisdom. I'm your true comforter. And then also, I thought about what I'd be willing to sacrifice for him. And I said, now, my uncle sacrificed a lot for me, but he'll never sacrifice what God has sacrificed for me. And I'd give anything I could to be with him. But how much more would I be willing to give to God? And that's just been something that's challenged me, and I've wrestled with, and it's kind of just, it's been a blessing to me, you know, to be able to see that at the end of the day, I can have a lot of things, or I can lose it all. But there's one thing I can't let go of. I can't lose, I can't forsake, and that's my relationship with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And if you don't know him today, I'm not saying you need to, I don't want you to fake anything. You know, be who you are. But I want you to be authentic with yourself and be honest. You know, find out, what is it that I really put my hope in? What's really important to me? And then I want you to ask the real question, is it really going to sustain you in the long run? Is it really as important as you like to believe it is? Because there's one who's truly worthy of any sacrifice. There's nothing you could give that would ever, you know, be truly a blessing to God. You know, there's no gift I could offer him. I can give him 24 hours a day. I could never talk to another person again and just lay there praising and worship until the day I die, and it still wouldn't be enough. But he loves me that much that he'd give more than I could ever give him. And so I want to encourage you to think about what's really important in your life. You know, where are you at with things? And, I want to encourage you to seek him out with everything you got. And it's going to come at a sacrifice. And the question is, what are you willing to sacrifice to be close to God? Because it will cost you something. And it cost him everything.